Hello and welcome back to the return of Weekly Ranma. My name is Steve.
And I'm David.
And we are on to episode 13 of the Ranma 1/2 remake. It's good to have it back.
Oh God, it was awesome.
So the episode picks off introducing a character that got very little screen time in the original anime adaptation, Gosunkugi Hikaru. We are introduced to him in his obsession with Akane as... He's supplying the school with a lot of candid photos of the girl that he's really in love with. This also leads him to having a intense hatred of Ranma. Gosunkugi is no match for the martial arts expert, so instead he buddies up with Kuno-senpai and says, look, let me figure out what our enemy's weakness is, and then you can kick his ass for us. At which point, he goes about trying to interview people that know Ranma, spying at his house, all sorts of things, and just isn't able to figure out what his weakness is. This topic of conversation also permeates throughout the Tendo and Sawatome household. Akane is kind of pressing Ranma to at least tell her what his weakness is, but he kind of refuses to. He doesn't want to appear weak in any manner, you could say. So did you think that Ranma's weakness was cats, David?
No, I really didn't.
Yeah, so we find out pretty quickly that Ranma is deathly afraid of cats. Gosunkugi, through his spying activities, discovers this and sets a trap for Ranma. He sends him a letter that's made to look like a ransom note of sorts for Akane. He knows it's not true, because as he's reading the letter, Akane is standing next to him. And curious, they head off to the gymnasium where they find Gosunkugi dressed in the girls' uniform for their school, tied up on the stage of the gymnasium. With that, Gosunkugi activates his trap and drops all three of them into the floor. Well, he drops Akane and himself into the floor of the stage. Ranma just follows because, why not? The trap, though, is there are a gaggle of stray cats hidden within the storage room underneath the stage. One thing I forgot to mention is when the family learned about Ranma's dislike of cats, Genma explained where it stems from. And it was when Ranma was 10 years old, and Genma was working to train him in a secret martial arts technique called Cat Fist. The training manual had him essentially terrorize his boy with starving cats by tying different cat food items to him. Unfortunately, the results of the training instilled with him in almost deathly fear of cats. So, as Ranma is trying to overcome the sheer terror he's feeling, something snaps in him, which is itself is a byproduct of the training. And he begins to take in the embodiment of a powerful cat, acting in all sorts of cat manners. In the process of triggering this complex within him, he beats up a tiger that Gosunkugi added, figuring, why not just go big or go home, destroys Kuno, and then proceeds to be very cat-like outside of the school. Genma, sensing that something is wrong, already heads off to the school to calm his son, because the only thing that would work when he was going through the training was a kindly older woman within the neighborhood at that time. So he dresses as the woman and tries to convince, his crazed cat boy to accept that this mockery of the old woman is the real thing, which doesn't work. They do, however, decide to throw a plethora of catnip at Ranma, which calms him down. And then we end the episode with Ranma getting a little bit too familiar on Akane's lap and nuzzling her face in front of a bunch of people in school. That's the end of the episode.
It was really funny when we got to the part where he went into cat mode. Bridget goes, Cat Fist.
Yep, Cat Fist.
Her going, Cat Fist, made that part of the episode 100 times more funny for me.
Nice.
Than if I hadn't watched it with her. Just the gasp and that. It was perfect. That episode was really, 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 really funny. I was laughing the whole time.
For people who have only ever watched the original anime and never dug into the manga, Gosunkugi is kind of a sticking point for the fandom, as he does play a relatively prominent role within the manga, but is barely in the anime. In the anime, the servant of the Kuno family, Sasuke, replaced many of the roles that Gosunkugi had done within the series. Specifically in this episode, where almost everything that Gosunkugi did in the original version of this episode in the 1990 season of the TV show was all by Sasuke. Given that I still haven't read the manga, I'm interested to see how big of a role Gosunkugi does play within the story moving forward now that they've introduced him. Another major difference between this and the original TV version of this arc is we're not yet reintroduced to a character that we saw in the first season. This episode marks the return of that character after a couple of episodes of not being within the show. We'll have to wait to see how that character gets brought back into the fold. I suspect it's going to be pretty quick. I don't really have much to say about this. It was a good episode. It was fine.
It was so funny.
I enjoyed this version much more than the original one. This was a pretty good.
It was so funny.
The timing was really good. The comedic value was fantastic. I loved when
Genma as a grandma. Oh my God.
I loved when they were stacking all the cats on him inside of the Tendo house. They're like, let's see how many we can get on him before he passes out again. But no, I think more than anything, I'm really happy to be back in Ranma. And I'm excited for this season because it's going to introduce a lot of really fun characters.
I loved the first season. The second season is off to a great start for me. It's just fun. It makes me laugh. It makes me happy.
They're really going to do a lot of work of building the cast, and it's going to pay off. There's going to be a lot of fun story arcs and personalities that are just going to be a part of the show. So it's going to be a lot better than season 1.
I have a feeling that old grandpa that we see in the intro is going to be a problematic stereotype.
This character, his name is Haposai. And since the discussion of the remake has culminated, there's been a lot of questions on the internet about how they're going to deal with Haposai's personality in regards to changing norms of society over the past 30 years. I don't think we're going to see much of any change of what Haposai is up to. I don't think we necessarily need to see any change either. It's understood what his character represents, and his habits and personality are not necessarily out of line in modern standards, I feel. Just because of what he is and how he does it. Do I condone what he does? Oh, hell, Haposai is a terrible character. He's amusing, but he's not a good guy. You don't want to like Haposai. Because if you're a fan of Haposai, then that brings your personality into question, I feel.
Also, Akane in that sweatshirt.
Akane is just the best girl. Hands down.
She came onto screen in just the sweatshirt, and Bridget goes, oh, that's so cute. And she also goes, why did Akane cut her hair again? I'm like,
she felt like it.
I was like, that's right. You don't remember. I need to show you the whole first season.
Yep. It's well worth the watch.
It was Ryoga that accidentally did it, right?
Well, technically.
It was Ryoga and...
It's technically Ranma.
Well, right, but it was
Ryoga's
weapon
attack. Yes.
That did it. Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if it was the fight with Ranma and Ryoga or if it was the fight between Ranma, Akane, and the ice skaters.
No, it was the fight between Ranma and Ryoga.
But no, I'm glad it's back. I can't wait for more hijinks from the crew.
Oh, yeah.
The dads are still as terrible as always.
They never improve.
Oh, my God. Mr. Tendo is just an idiot.
So I don't know how prevalent she is in the manga, but I hope the remake goes long enough, if anything even happened in the manga relating to her. I guess the audience that has read the manga can let me know. Does Ranma's mom ever show up in the manga? Because she showed up in the original anime near the end of it, and it was a fantastic cap to the series, I feel, because of her just outright disdain, rightfully so, for Genma and his garbage. And I hope that if she truly was in the manga to an extent, that we get to see her in the remake. All right, well, thanks for listening, and I hope you're as excited as we are for the return of Ranma. So this season, Friday's episodes, weekly Ranma has returned, and then on Wednesdays, we are doing something a little bit different. We are taking a crash course journey through Mobile Suit Gundam's Universal Century main storyline. Wednesday of this week, we had our first episode where we were talking about the first compilation movie from the original Mobile Suit Gundam. Each week, we'll essentially be discussing the consecutive compilation movies up until we get into Gundam Unicorn, where we'll be doing discussions on multiple episodes of the OAV series. So if you like Gundam and want to join us on the journey through the abridged version of the Universal Century, join us on Wednesdays. So don't forget to Like and subscribe, let your friends know, hit that bell so you get notifications when we have special episodes drop. We just dropped one last Saturday, celebrating the 30th anniversary of the airing of episode 1 of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Thanks again. We'll check you guys next time.